From the worldwide headquarters of the Big Play Collect Studios on the shores of Lake Erie, welcome to Greeny Sports Cards Live. This is episode 126, if you can believe that, for the world's original multi-stream broadcast dedicated to the hobby industry. We are here, we are live, and we are on the heels of a remarkable Fanatics Fest in New York, and 1 week out from the 46th Annual National Sports Collectors Convention in Rosemont, Illinois, really in suburban Chicago. So welcome to Greeny Sports Cards Live. Our friend and namesake Greeny will be here shortly to take you around the country on the road to Rosemont for his top collectible events of the week, with stops in Madison, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Utah. Our resident hobby insider, Joe Wysmierski from Phoenix Sports Cards, will join us for hobby news. Nick Jarman will be here from the Collectible Trading Card Association, and our preview of the 46th Annual National Sports Collectors Convention will continue with the CEO of TriStar, Jeffrey Rosenburg, the co-founder and CEO of TriStar. He'll be on to talk about the Autograph Pavilion, and of course, Nick Jarman will be here along with a cast of thousands. So with that, Greeny, you ready? You're playing on your phone over there?
I'm sharing. I have a lot of groups that I'm in. I'm trying to share them to everybody so that we get some views.
Yeah. So please, on that note, please like, please share, please comment here on the Big Play Collectibles Network, as well as Greeny Sports Cards Live. We come to you every Tuesday night, as we've done for well over 2.5 years now. My name is Jeremy Levine, the man about town. That town is Cleveland, Ohio. And, of course, Steve Greenberg, who we will welcome in, a.k.a. Greeny, the founder of Greeny Sports Cards and the namesake of Greeny Sports Cards Live. Greeny, we're a day late live, but happy birthday there,
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we made it 1 year. We've actually made 2 of my birthdays during our run of 126 episodes.
Can you
Maybe
believe
even
that?
a third.
And this is the third from the Big Play Studios. Do you think they know yet? They keep letting us in here, or they haven't kicked us out?
Well, we have a key. So
well, that helps.
Yeah. What's interesting is, like, I could look, they can't see it, but I can look right out the window. I can see airplanes at Burke Lakefront Airport, and I can see Lake Erie. I might even be able to see Canada.
On a clear day,
right? Of
which in the last week we've had very few because of those Canadian wildfires that have creeped in here in Northeast Ohio and of course across the country. Greeny, we got a lot to get to tonight. Again, we're going to welcome in Nick Jarman from CTCA and Jeff Rosenburg, one of the preeminent names in the hobby industry with TriStar Productions. They've got a few people coming to the National next week, so we'll get to talk to Jeff about his journey and the Autograph Pavilion. Mentioned on the heels of Fanatics Fest, we'll talk about that a little bit, and we'll get into it with Joe. Also want to shout out Drew, whose your birthday was yesterday. Drew's birthday is today. Drew, of course, along with Haley, comprising our production team, big part of the production team. And so we want to give a shout out to Drew Donovan and wish him a very happy birthday as well. So any thoughts? You had two shows across the weekend, TC Greeny and...
We did. They were terrific shows. I mean, the city embraces all the shows that we have been promoting here for the last, almost 20 years now. The shows were terrific. Saturday was TCG only, packed house. Sunday was our little local show at the golf course. We had a nice time. We watched the British Open, sold some cards. But I enjoyed following along all of the content that came from Fanatics Fest. Had it not been World Cup weekend and a week before the National, we might have gone. So hopefully 1 year we'll get there. Man, the whole thing is spectacle. Yeah, that's a great word for it. It just looks interesting. The amount of the celebrities are there, but also the vending part of it. You know, we have some friends that were set up as booth holders, vendors. They said that they did a terrific job. It's not as much a card show as it is a con. Not a Comic-Con, but a sports con, and that's what you go there for. You go there to see the glitz and the glamour. You watch the games. You watch the celebrities walk around. You know, that's what that is for. I think the cards are secondary there. A week from now, cards will be the main focus of the National. and you'll have some fanfare to go along with that. And we'll talk to Jeff about, the different autographers that you'll be able to get from there. But next week is the card show. Fanatics Fest was the spectacle, as you said. So 2 different shows. They both are terrific for the hobby. They can coexist. I know you hear all the rumors. Yes, they can absolutely coexist. They can coexist 2 weeks apart.
It's pretty remarkable, Greenie. Some of those seeds were planted last year about, which show's going to survive, and comparatively, I would actually take the other track and just say, what a remarkable time to be in the hobby, to be in this space. 2 weeks apart, like you said, and there might have been upwards of 200,000 people in New York for that show. The National's going to get 6 figures as well over 100,000, maybe upwards of 2 by the time it's all said and done. And so you've got 400,000 people across the country, and I would gather as well, while there's a number of people that go to both.
You forgot. The West Coast Card Show had 1,000 tables, and Dallas had 700 tables, and they each had thousands of attendees, right?
Across the country. And,
right.
And, we'll get into more of the card shows coming up as well in Card Show Live, because nothing is slowing down in the hobby. And so now, for now, I would just say thank you to Fanatics and their team. They did a remarkable job. And now attention turns to Rosemont, Illinois for the National Sports Collectors Convention. And with that, before we go ahead and welcome in our resident hobby insider, Joe Wysmierski, here in a few moments, we'll get into some quick hits and talk a little bit about Fanatics Fest that delivered a significantly upgraded experience for dealers, with 177 unique card dealers occupying 34,000 square feet of space. Dealer reported night and day improvements over last year, strong sales and high-end activity, easier load-in and setup, heavy foot traffic from collectors and sports fans. Fanatics Events CEO Lance Fensterman said ahead of the event the dealers would be, quote, entirely in the middle, and reporting confirms he delivered. Fanatics Fest featured high-profile athlete card interactions that dominated the social media scene. Tom Brady opened a 2000 Bowman chasing his rookie and revealed he actually purchased the one-of-one draft night card of Raiders pick Fernando Mendoza. Alex Ovechkin ripped Upper Deck Hockey Live. Cooper Flagg signed his one-of-one NBA debut patch auto at the event. And Victor Wembanyama opened Star Wars packs, hit a Sketch Plus Darth Maul auto, signed them, and gave them away. These activations reinforced Fanatics' push to connect athletes directly with trading cards. New consolidated market analysis shows us a couple of things. 26 million cards were graded in 2025, up 32% year over year. TCG and non-sports submissions, which were 16.8 million, outpaced sports cards 10 million for the first time. Trading card singles hit 2.62 billion in eBay sales, and PSA intercepted 20 million in counterfeit altered items in 2025. These trends highlight a rapidly expanding, increasingly financialized hobby ecosystem. Reminder, the National VIP and 5-day passes are all sold out. Single-day tickets are still available. Go to nsccshow.com to purchase. And Greenie, in some breaking news that we can finally share tonight, live on the show here on Greenie Sports Cards Live on the BIGPLAY Collectibles Network. The BIGPLAY Collectibles Network has been tapped to open and close the Mike Burkus main stage at the National. We will open the main stage on Wednesday, July 29th at 1 p.m. with a national preview, followed by an episode of Greenie Sports Cards Live. On Sunday, August 2nd, BCN will close the National with a wrap-up on the main stage, preceded by another episode of Greenie Sports Cards Live. So for real-time news at the National, follow along on X, NSCC Show, as well as the BIGPLAY Collectibles Network. Greenie, that's I'm a little bit at a loss for words on that. It's pretty awesome that BIGPLAY has been tapped to really kind of kick off and preview the show on Wednesday, set the literal stage and figurative stage for the National. And then we'll have the opportunity to come back on Sunday and talk about everything we saw and everything that happened at the 46th Annual National Sports Collectors Convention.
Yeah, that is something. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll be able to get up on the Burkus stage. We'll be able to preview the show, let everybody know what they're expected to see for the week, what they can do. And there's a lot to do. There's a lot of activations. So we'll get to all of that next week when we're live at the National. And hopefully, we'll be able to be live through this channel as well. We could probably figure out how to do that.
We have people who can figure out to do that. So
Yeah.
stick with us through the National and well beyond. We've got some big announcements planned following the National, but for now, we're going to stay present, enjoy the week, enjoy what for me is the best part of the entire deal is not the buying and selling of trading cards as it is for most. It's really the relationships and collecting friendships and memories. And this will be well into double digits for me across the last 26 years, Greeny, and with a personal connection to Mike Burkus himself, having worked with him many, many years in a row. Very special opportunity. So we thank JBJ, we thank Shane Wynn and Christy for having faith in us and the opportunity to appear on stage. So with that, more hobby news. We're going to welcome in the hobby's unofficial national treasure, a man who proves that you can open packs and deliver stand-up comedy at the same time. Please welcome the desert-dwelling Sultan of Slabs, our own Commissioner of Chaos, headband Joe Wysmierski.
What is happening, gentlemen? Happy to be here.
I had a whole bunch of stuff written down to go over, and then Jeremy threw out 20 million counterfeit things went through PSA.
That they stopped.
Right. Yeah. That they stopped.
Well, I can tell you that we've stopped 2 counterfeit cards today in the shop that came in, a LeBron downtown, and the other, it was within 5 minutes. A gentleman and his girlfriend walked in, and he had a PSA 10 Jordan rookie, Fleer rookie, which, we had to break the news that you weren't able to buy a new house with this one. Unfortunately, a standard PSA slab doesn't allow you to open the slab from the side and take the card out. So, unfortunately, the stuff is out there. People use it as card art, or they'll say, maybe they're set fillers, but that kind of stuff is there. But it's good that PSA is able to get that out of circulation, because it's unfortunate when you do find it out there or someone does get taken advantage. And what's funny is the LeBron card that came in, a customer asked for someone to meet him here so that we could look at the card for him to see if it was real or not. So that was kind of cool.
Well, good for you. And you know what? I think when we talk to Nick Jarman a little later, he might have a little more insight on some of this stuff, what they're doing. But let's talk about Topps Chrome Series 2. Right? Is that Series 2? Is that what's coming out tomorrow with a shot of the dual Ohtani gold logo man with the English autograph and the kanji autograph?
It's just Topps Chrome. Just Topps Chrome.
Just regular Topps Chrome.
That is coming out, my friend. It's going to be, it's another Ohtani chase. Steve, you probably see it. Jeremy, if you don't know by now, even a simple base card of Ohtani goes for anywhere from $2 to $3 up to $20. So to have a Chrome auto, it's 4 figures all day. It's not even a question anymore. An autograph of Ohtani, be it 8th year in the league, it doesn't matter. You're still going to fetch 4 figures, and in some cases, the lower the number, it's going to start to creep into the 5-figure. So it's exciting, and Topps Chrome is always what people are looking for, because it's a part of the buyback, right? So it's a part of the MVP buyback program. So people start to really buy the Topps Chrome, not only the blasters and mega boxes, but the hobbies and jumbos. So it's definitely an exciting time, and it's coming out right in between, on the heels of Fanatics Fest, the Dallas show, and the West Coast Card Show, and then rolling into the big show in Rosemont. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait there's going to be a huge chase for those cards, or for that card specifically, but I think people are going to open a lot of packs of that at the National. Can you imagine somebody hitting that there?
Oh, it would be absolutely fantastic. My hope is the collector who does hit that it does come in a redemption form, rather than sitting in a pack, because your goal is probably to just take a card like that
redemption
and grade
card,
it.
Doesn't it?
What was that?
It's got to be a redemption card, right? I know they've shown a picture of it, but do you think they'll put that in a pack?
I would hope not. I would
Otherwise
hope
you get
not.
chicken wing sauce on that and buttered popcorn.
Well, think about it guys, how many times have you seen or heard of big cards coming out of blasters, hanger packs, that type of stuff? Like, I don't know how some of that stuff slips through, but I would hope that this would be 100% a redemption. Just in out of Top Series 2 baseball, seeing a patch auto of Otani to 50 showing up in the Costco mega boxes and a Topps hanger fat pack, like, and those were live. Those were not redemptions.
Crazy. Yeah. So
It is.
talk us through this week. What else happened in the shop? What's going on in the hobby shop world?
There's a lot of FOMO, honestly, of not being able to be in New York City for Fanatics Fest and then for the World Cup. But watching a lot of the stuff, I wanted to bring this point up today, and I know it's going to ruffle feathers, especially with you guys over in Cleveland too. But when we talk about these shows being able to exist with each other, it doesn't matter. They're two drastically different shows. And for me, and this is my personal opinion, I believe, and there's nothing wrong with what I'm about to say either, is that Fanatics Fest is more of a white collar event. And, it takes a lot of money to get to that show, 100%. And then to buy the tickets, to be in there, to do the activations, to even put yourself in a position where you can purchase cards at that show. It's very, very expensive. And this is coming from a guy with 1 year of experience, Jeremy, at the National, 1 year, not like you guys with a ton, but I see that more as a blue collar event.
Great year of experience, though.
Yeah, correct. Thank you. I do see that more as a blue collar event, from the way different booths are set up to everyone having a unique way of the way they display their cards, the way they display what they're selling. It's not uniformed like how Fanatics Fest is. Like, you have to use the union-based guys to load your stuff, and they all have the same type of display cases there. So they can both coexist, and they offer a ton of experiences for different customers and different customer bases. Where they have those activations there in New York, I don't see that needed as much, because you do have the vendor booths, and like the bigger stuff like the Bo Jackson Battle Arena stuff, where they have like the different auction houses that are set up there. Those are kind of like museum-esque, where you can walk through and really observe the stuff that is in there and that will be up in their auctions, all the way down to, and I brought this up in a post, what I was most excited about is I want to see who's going to be in row 1, the lady who was selling fudge last year. No one was talking about her, if she was going to be back. And I thought that was a real unique person to have on the floor of the National when people are touching cards and all that kind of stuff. And you have a gal who is selling some incredibly high-end fudge in a warm room. So that was my take, and I'd love to see if she's going to be back. That was one of the exciting pieces for me.
We will report on that for sure. Oh, fudge.
Yeah. And honestly, really what I'd love to hear too, throughout your shows, because congratulations, gentlemen, on being able to be there to open and close the show on such a huge stage. But just discussing the PSA, like, is the line as crazy as years past?
I heard it's forming already.
I'm sure. And just to think, the minimum to join that party is $300. And that's for someone who's dropping off day one, and the expectation is you will have it by Sunday, close of business. And then they have other levels that you can use from there to get your card back quicker. But like, that's wild. And the Greenie booth is right there.
It is.
It is literally right there. So if you do stop by PSA, you better see the green awning and hop on over to say hello to Steve and the guys.
Well, we'd be happy to say hello to everybody. Yeah. I mean, we're looking forward to that. We have an actual, our spot in that show is terrific, with Mike, Vintage Cardboard Collectibles. And then, caddy corner to us is Tom, Gemini Sports Cards. And then PSA is just 2 rows over. So we have a nice little area there. It's perfect. It's wide open. You get the live streaming is like in the next room over. And I can't wait. I mean, we've been putting it on our website all week where we are. There's a map exactly how to get to us from the front door. So there's a plug for our website, greeniesportscards.com. Just go to the homepage. You'll see exactly how to get to our booth.
Greenie's
Steve,
in booth 1338. You can find him there. Joe, where can everybody find you?
Well, first of all, before you can find me, Jeremy, you can also, another reason you want to stop by Greenie's booth is because it's near the supplies from Ultra Pro. People are always looking for supplies when they're at the National. And so it's right next to, if you see Greenie's sign, you know you're near the supplies. So I had to put that plug in there, Jeremy. But you can find us at 59th and Thunderbird in Phoenix, Arizona, or at PHX Sports Cards on Instagram. Check us out.
Yeah, don't let me get in the way of a shameless plug, Joe. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
What's the weather today? Give us the degrees.
107. But there was a lot of humidity in the air. I mean, we're in true monsoon season, gentlemen. So you can experience sideways rain, stinging rain, haboobs, all those type of things while you're here in Phoenix. It is our rainiest time of year.
Fantastic.
Sure you could say haboobs on the radio, but here we are.
It's the internet.
It's
anyway. We'll catch you on the flip side from the National. We can't wait to report back to you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Joe. Our resident hobby insider, Joe Wysmierski of Phoenix Sports Cards, joining us as he does every week here on Greenie Sports Cards Live. And Greenie, coming up in a little bit, we're going to welcome in Jeff Rosenburg, the CEO of TriStar Productions, the producers of the Autograph Pavilion at the National Sports Collectors Convention. But for now, our next guest is one of the leading voices pushing higher standards and stronger protections across the hobby. Nick Jarman is the founder of the Certified Trading Card Association, an organization focused on establishing consistent grading standards, improving transparency, and strengthening consumer confidence in the trading card marketplace. Nick Jarman has become a key advocate for modernizing how the hobby defines quality, authenticity, and trust. And he's here tonight to talk about where the industry is heading next. From the Certified Trading Card Association, let's welcome in Nick Jarman.
Nick.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Hey, Nick, how are you? We appreciate your time.
Doing great. I appreciate you letting me be here.
You're quite a busy fellow, too. You're getting around to some of these shows and getting the word out. The Certified Trading Card Association. But before we get into where you are and where you've been doing, let's kind of go back a little bit of this. You know, you've had to be a collector, right? You started early, and take us through a little bit of your journey to where you got now, the Certified Trading Card Association.
Yeah, so been a lifelong collector. Growing up, as a young kid collecting. My main collection was Dan Marino. Still to this day, I'm a big Dolphin fan, as you can see. But just traditional collecting. Growing up through my teenage years. And then, like a lot of folks, kind of got away from it through the years. And then recently, last year, as a matter of fact, started getting back into it with, some untraditional cards. I mean, I'm still collecting the traditional stuff, but, V Friends with Gary V, the Bo Jackson Battle Arena that you mentioned, kind of intrigued me to get into the hobby again. And so that kind of led me to the National to kind of see what was out there. And then, lo and behold, it kind of a long story quick. I tried to find out where the trade association was for the hobby because I wanted to get involved that way. Found out there wasn't one, and got home from the National on July 30th and started one.
Fantastic. Nick, a lot of collectors feel the hobby needs stronger consumer protections. What role do you see CTCA playing in that and helping shape those safeguards over the next few years?
Absolutely. So, the CTCA is here to form a safer, smarter, stronger hobby. And there's so many different tentacles that can withhold. One of the instances that we're working on right now is grading. We know grading is a very big topic in the hobby. So we're working on putting a grading council together of different grading companies, grading experts, some serious hobbyists that are working together to, put some standardization around what grading we feel should look like based on their expertise. And, we're not here to tell anybody how to run their business. We're here to put out some standards and hope that, people will, get along and go with those, and then use their unique ability to handle how they want to go about doing their business. But we also want to educate as well when it comes to grading. What does the centering look like? What is the alignment? What are the different things? And we have a lot of that listed on our website. A couple other things that we have the Global Trading Card Registry Initiative, which is the official site that we have for registering lost or stolen graded trading cards. Regardless of the grader, you have the ability to go in, report that card lost or stolen, put your information in there. If you have a police report, file that. It gets a little bit higher verification badge, and then it serves as a place where people can go before they buy a graded trading card to see if in fact it has been reported stolen. And if it has, then it's something where they need to just do a little bit more due diligence before they make a transaction.
Interesting stuff there, Nick. There's a lot of buzzwords in the hobby: trust, transparency. These are some of the things that you guys are really getting out in front of. Take us through how the word transparency should actually be used in the hobby.
Yeah, transparency is, to me, in the hobby, is something where where collectors especially understand what is being done and why is it being done. Manufacturers, grading companies, technology companies, they don't have to give away their secret sauce. That's not what transparency is. But being above board, telling people what it is that they're looking for. I'll give an example of breakers, right? Breakers right now are a big example. And transparency in the breaking world is showing what the odds are, making sure that you have established standards, making sure that you are identifying what's out there within the breaks, and that people know what to expect. Because if people know what to expect, then they're not caught off guard. And that's a lot of what transparency is about defining expectations, allowing the hobby to hold individuals and companies to those expectations, and then that will make everybody a little bit better in the hobby and a better place.
Nick, if you could snap your fingers and implement one universal rule or requirement for the hobby, what would that be and why?
Wow, what a great question. Oh boy, you're good. One rule. Can I get back to you on that?
It could be a number of rules.
Yeah, we don't have to put it to a vote today.
Yeah, you're not beholden to what
you could riff on some of the changes you'd like to see in the hobby.
Okay, so one thing would be, I think, from a manufacturer standpoint, if there were a little bit more transparency in the odds and what is out there, and a little bit more understanding of print runs and what availabilities are, because we know that how many packs we don't know how many packs are printed, or how many cards are out there, or how many of these cards exist. And I use that as an example of any company that is going to purchase, or any individual that's going to purchase stock in a company. They know how many stocks are issued, and they know what they're buying into. A lot of times we're running blind into what we're purchasing as a hobbyist and as a collector. So, if we had to identify exactly, what is out there and make that more universal across the board, I think that would be beneficial for all parties.
So tell us a little bit about the CTCA. I can go on your website and I can see some things. You have membership, you have leadership, strategic partners. Give us kind of a little bit about what it is people are signing up for and what you're expected to do.
So as a trade association, and I've got a lot of deer in the headlights when I talk to a lot of people as far as trade associations. Well, any viable industry that has any significance has a trade association. And when, with the CTCA, what members are going to get, especially the industry members, they're going to get networking opportunities with other members of like and similar type businesses. They're going to get educational offerings and educational opportunities. They'll get town hall events. They're going to get access to very key and influential individuals and companies within the hobby. They're going to get insights that they might not necessarily get in other places. Eventually, as we continue to be established, they're going to get advocacy. We're going to advocate on their behalf when different types of, if laws come out that are eventually, down the road looking at. So, that's from a business standpoint. From a community member standpoint, and the collectors, which is a free to join, they're going to have a place to call home. We're going to create a place where they can interact with one another. They can have the ability to talk and, get influence and network a little bit with, if they have questions about manufacturing or grading or technology, they'll be able to answer that. And then, we're getting a team together that's really good and that's going to be able to provide a lot of tools. And you see some of that on social media now with Ballpark Alex and Will Amarillo of Hobby Comp. But that's really just the tip of the iceberg of what's to come.
I like it. There's a lot of neat things here. I like you have trusted breakers, dealers, shops, grading companies, influencers. Jeremy, what about show producers? Nick, I think we have a couple over here.
We said we're going to have a conversation at the National, and I think we need to do that.
Yeah, no pressure. We know a couple of show producers.
Yeah, we know a couple of show producers. But listen, I like it. I think that there is something to this. I think there's good things that you're putting towards making the hobby a safer place for everybody. And listen, we appreciate it. Tell everybody where to go on social media or on your website, where they can find you, where they can sign up, and then we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, so they can go online at www.thectca.org. And then on social media, for Instagram, X, Facebook, it's just at the CTCA.
Nick, great stuff. We appreciate it. We look forward to meeting you in person at the National and talking a little bit further about this.
All right, sounds great. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, bye-bye.
Our thanks to Nick Jarman from the Certified Trading Card Association. He's got an ambitious project on his hand, and we wish him luck and looking forward to catching up with him next week in Rosemont, Illinois. Greeny, before Card Show Live, we talked about this the last couple of weeks. There are two gorgeous pieces adorning our set behind me here. They were provided by our friends over at Hall of Framers. Andrew and Sienna, of course, lead Northeast Ohio's premier custom framing studio. They specialize in museum-quality sports displays, shadow boxes, jerseys, memorabilia, and one-of-a-kind pieces that make your collection look its absolute best. Make sure you check them out at hofcle.com or stop by the store in downtown Berea if you're just up the road from Cleveland Browns headquarters. So our thanks to Hall of Framers for their continued support of Greeny Sports Cards Live. And with that, Greeny, let's head over to Card Show Live.
Yeah, welcome on into this pre-national edition of Card Show Live. We're going to take you around the country, preview some shows that might be in your neck of the woods, or if they're not, maybe they're shows that you want to try to attend. We're going to start off in Springfield, Illinois, at the Crown Plaza for the GG2 Drive to the National show. Now, the Kennedys are good friends of ours. We see them at a lot of shows. We've been to some of their shows. We've had them on our show. A lot of shows there. But they do a terrific job. If you're anywhere near Springfield, Illinois, you're going to want to check out the GG2 Drive to the National. We also have our friend Bo Thompson of 1 Million Cubs. His show, the Madison Card Show at the Allegiant Energy Center, is happening this Saturday, July 25th, up in Madison, Wisconsin. Bo's been running this show for a while. We've also discussed many times with him about this, and one day we're going to make it up to Madison. But this Saturday, if you can be there, July 25th, check out the Madison Card Show. If you want to head west, you can go to the Utah Valley Card Expo for 90 tables, Springfield Junior High. This Saturday, July 25th, you can head out, again, to Utah Valley, the card show there. From there, we're going to go to the Elks Lodge in Bordentown, New Jersey. 50 tables, a nice little local show Ron Gaumberg has going on. That is going to be Sunday, a Sunday-only show, July 26th. And then our friend Mike Brown, who has Kinham Sports Cards in Erie, Pennsylvania, has his show at the Zemzem Club, the Shrine Club. Have you ever been there, Jeremy? The Zemzem Club is a place to be. Sunday, July 26th. 70 tables there, and he gets a good crowd. He's been doing that show for years, so if you're anywhere there, check out the Zemzem Shrine Club in Erie, Pennsylvania. If you can't make any one of these shows, check out any show in your area, support your local shows, and hopefully you'll pick up something good, and we hope to see you guys soon anywhere at a card show.
The Zemzem Club, Greeny, that sounds like a good time.
I mean, you can't beat it.
Terrific stuff. So lots of shows and lots of action on the road to Rosemont next week at the 46th Annual National Sports Collectors Convention. Our next guest will most certainly be there. He's one of the most influential figures in the autograph and memorabilia industry. Jeff Rosenburg is the co-founder and CEO of TriStar. The company is widely recognized for setting the standard in authenticated autographs, athlete signings, and premium memorabilia experiences. For decades, TriStar has been a cornerstone of major shows and national events. It's one of the most respected brands in the hobby and producer of the Nationals Autograph Pavilion. Jeff joins us to talk about his journey and what to expect next week. With that, let's go ahead and welcome in Jeff Rosenburg.
Hey, thanks so much for the introduction, Jeremy. You guys are great. Just love listening to somebody talking about card shows. There was a time when I started this that not a lot of people talked about card shows. So it's pretty exciting, and I'm pretty pumped to see you guys and about 100,000 of our fellow collectors at Rosemont next week. So we're so excited.
Yes. Speaking of that, so the Nationals next week, TriStar has the big autograph pavilion. What national number is this for you?
Believe it or not, is when you just said 46, so I had to do the math in my head. This is number 42 consecutively.
That's
amazing.
That's up there. That's terrific. And so take us through that, your time at the National. You know, we have the TriStar Autograph Pavilion. When you started, what were you doing, you know, at the first of your 42 Nationals?
So it was 1984, and my good friend here in Houston, Kent Sessions, we got on a People Express airline. I think it was $99 each way to New Jersey. And it was in Parsippany, New Jersey in 1984. Mike Gordon, I believe, was running it. And we had our briefcases full of cards. And we walked around the show buying and selling with dealers, more buying than selling. We thought we were in paradise, I can tell you that. I don't know if you guys remember, there were a couple of price guides back then. One was called Beckett. One was called CPU. Down here in Texas, we used the Beckett, but up in New Jersey, they used the CPU. And it was eye-opening. I think the Nolan Ryan rookie there, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
we got you.
The Nolan Ryan rookie card, I think, don't quote me, I think it was about $100 there. I think we could buy them for about 50 to 75 here in Houston and Dallas, Texas. And it was about $100. And again, we thought we'd died and gone to heaven. Wish I had a few of those Nolan Ryan rookies back. But it was what blew our mind, and it'll be the same for the people coming. Not exactly the same, because obviously we didn't have the internet in that back then, or social media. But when you're walking around seeing all the 52 Manels, the Gaudy Ruths, the T206s, you know, those were not common to see at shows in Houston. We saw them, but not common. It felt like when we walked around the National in 1984 that those were common. And it just was mind-blowing for us, you know, to see the quality. And it'll be similar for a lot of you out there listening. You know, you're going to see things, you know, maybe you've seen let's use one of my favorite cards, 1984 Star Company, Michael Jordan. I know a lot of people don't call it his rookie, his 86 Fleer, but I kind of think of his Star 101 of his rookie. Maybe you've seen one or two in your life, and you might see 10 or 20 or something like that at the National. I mean, that's, I see some great footage here. And that's what you see. And then, you might go to a card show. You were just talking about some card shows. You might see 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 athletes signing in a weekend. And here we're going to have 175 plus signing. So it's eye-opening. It's big. Bring your comfortable shoes and your big wallets. That's the advice I give.
Jeff, you alluded to it earlier. The talking about hobby shows and collectible shows have come a long way from certainly the smoke-filled back rooms of your local hotel. TriStar has been a leader in athlete signing for decades now. What is the biggest change that you've seen in how athletes approach signings today compared to 10 or even 20 years ago?
Yeah, well, 20 plus years ago, we didn't know how good we had it. I remember the first time I had Mickey Mantle come to Houston was in 1992, and we were charging $25. And if you could have seen the hate mail and the voicemails that we were crooks and criminals to charge $25 for Mickey Mantle. And here's the funny part. You know how much of that 25 was mine? 0. Mantle got all 25 and I paid all of his expenses, and I guaranteed him 50,000, 2,000 autographs. I didn't get a penny out of that 25. But we brought him in to draw people into the show. And, what's so mind-blowing about that, if I had been smart, I would have taken 500 of those balls and put them away, right? But I didn't, because it seemed like a lot, right? I mean, that seemed like a lot of money to pay somebody $25 to sign a baseball. Or by the way, a card. Most people didn't want to get their cards from the 50s signed because they thought they were ruining the card. Imagine the ones who were smart enough to get those cards signed. So
it's interesting you bring that up, because that is one of the hottest items for people to get signed now is the rookie card. We were always told as kids, no, do not let them sign those cards. But now that's one of the biggest things in the hobby is a signed rookie card.
So, you asked about change, and that's a big change. In a show where Mantle would have signed to the public like 500 autographs a day or 800. I think it was 800 a day he would sign. So that's 1,600. I would be shocked if he signed more than 15 or 20 cards. Almost every autograph was a picture or a baseball at that time. Maybe a few bats and a few other things. But so that's a big change. The other change that's really big, and it's disappointing to an old timer like me. The modern players in the 80s and 90s, we thought they made a lot of money, but relative to today, they didn't. So they were pretty, not easy, but they would come to make extra money and sign at a show. And I had a rule when I started the company here in Houston. I started TriStar in 87. I wouldn't charge for a local athlete, okay? I gave them away free. I just didn't think you should have to pay. And what changed that was in the early 90s, maybe 93 or 4, I believe, 4 or 5, the Rockets had won 2 NBA championships, and Akeem Olajuwon was a big star. And in order to bring him in, it was going to cost me, I think it was about $15 or $20 for an autograph. And I said, we can't afford to give it away free. We're going to have to spend $15,000 or $20,000 to bring him in. We're going to have to charge that just to get our money back. And obviously he'll be at the National. You can see his prices. They're up, 10 to 15, 20 times. And back then it was $15 or $20 to sign whatever you wanted, a card, a ball, a photo, a jersey. And now they charge. So for me, that's been the biggest change that I've seen, that if you can get a modern star, the cost obviously has changed a lot. But obviously the values of the items and the cards has grown with it.
So one of the things a big thing, you said there's 170 some athletes that are going to be at the TriStar Pavilion. Take us through kind of the logistics of that, managing all the different athletes, their travel, their times. Like, give us kind of a little bit of a background. What does it take to go through all the motions to get these 176 athletes to the public?
Yeah, I'll try to do it quickly. I think it'll bore most of your audience. I like the stories about the signings, but yeah, it's, we're contacting either the athletes direct in some cases, in many cases, their agents, who handle the signing piece anyway for them, and, make the deals for them to be there. And then again, you've got to do the airlines, most of them are flying in. There's a few local, but most of them are flying in the hotels, and it's a full year's work. I'll tell you that. We will start probably not in August, but in September, October, we'll get started for the next year. It's a big job. There are a lot of people involved, a lot of logistics to get these folks in and out. You guys now know how big the National has grown. So just finding hotel rooms and getting them through the city is a challenge to get them up on that stage to sign. But once we get them there, they're home. And I just hung up from a call, a big collector who's going to bring a 500 home run balls, signed by Ruth and Ott and all these people, and he needs to add a couple guys. He was at the show last year, and he's coming back. And we were talking about this logistics. But the one thing he said was, he's been coming to TriStar shows for years and had many good experiences. He said, we were the facilitator so that he could meet Mickey Mantle, Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, people of that ilk, Muhammad Ali. We were just talking about, he had Lou Alcindor, Jabbar, we had a few years ago. He had his rookie jersey he brought to the show to get signed, and a rookie card, a PSA 7 rookie card. And he said, without you doing this, I wouldn't be able to get those signed. So, those are stories that are in my heart. I'm a collector first. This was not started as a business. This was started for me as a collector. I wanted to get autographs. And, obviously it morphed into a business. But I'm number one, I'm a collector. I have a lot of items that I'm bringing with me to get for my personal collection. So I'm really in tune to needs of hobbyists and try to run it in such a way. Obviously it's a big event and that's a challenge, but we want to give the customers the best experience we can. Obviously all players are different. However they act is how they act, but we really encourage them to smile, sign an autograph, give that person who's come, whether they came from Chicago or 3,000 miles away, give them a great experience.
Jeff, I was going to ask you a question along those similar lines. You talk about creating an experience for others that is a pathway for them to meet their heroes. And you've seen thousands of signings over the years. Is there a personal moment for you that stands out as either funny, surprising, or meaningful?
There's so many of them. I remember one interaction. A guy walked up to, it was Mickey Mantle. He walks up to the table and he has his kid. And, I don't remember the exact interaction, every perfect detail, but it was something to the effect. The kid looked at Mantle and the dad is telling the kid, he was 10, 12 years old, how great Mantle was, right? And I can't remember the name, but the kid said something to the effect, oh, is he as good as player X, whoever it was? And Mantle's like, he's not in my league.
Not
quite. And whoever he was kind of the hot flavor of the day, right? And the father's embarrassed, right? Because here's this kid comparing Mantle to a guy obviously not very good, because I forgot the name, but he's certainly not a Hall of Famer. But we've seen that, I call them the one-hit wonders. The guy wins the Rookie of the Year or whatever it happens to be. And, I was talking to this gentleman I just hung up the phone with. There was Sotheby's had a big auction last night. And there were some really great pieces. And I love Aaron Judge. I saw him, I was at Fanatics Fest this last weekend. I saw him there. But his jersey sold for almost 1.8 million. But in the same auction, you could have bought like Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain, and several other jerseys, and still had money left over. And me, as an old-time collector, nothing against Aaron Judge, I love him, but he's not in the Hall of Fame. I would have taken the Kareem and the Wilt Chamberlain and the others. So that's what's kind of interesting to me, that people will pay for these people who are not in the Hall of Fame, but they're big names, and not suggesting in any way Judge is a one-hit wonder. Judge is going to have 500 and may have 700 home runs, and I hope he does. But there are going to be some greats at this, like the Joe Montanas and people of that ilk, who probably in our hobby are even underappreciated relative to what some of the prices. Like, I love Wembanyama. I'm a Houston Rocket fan, but I've had the chance to see him play in person here. He plays for San Antonio. He's great. But when I see his jersey selling over $1 million in his card, I love it. I think he's a phenomenal player. We haven't seen a guy his size do the things he does. But, I want him to do it 10 more years before I anoint him. Michael Jordan and Kobe, and Olajuwon, one of my guys who's going to be at the show, they've already done it, but Olajuwon won't sell for anywhere near what Wembanyama, who, if you told Wembanyama today, you can have a career like Olajuwon, 2 NBA championships, MVPs, defensive player of the year, on and on and on. I think Wembanyama would say, I'll take that deal, right? But hobbyists obviously value him way more.
You mentioned that somebody's bringing a 500 home run ball to get signed by a player that's going to be on the same ball with Babe Ruth. Do you get a chance to talk to that athlete, if you can even say who it's going to be? Like, do they kind of appreciate what they're going to sign?
Every case is unique. Some do, others don't seem to. It's all really individual by the athlete. Remember, a player is sitting there. He's got 500 people in front of him. He's got to go through all of these signatures. His mindset is, I want to meet each person, get the signature. I don't know that a lot of them have the time to sit and think about, what they're doing. But what I do love the interaction of the fan who comes up and explains it. We did it last year. This actual same ball was signed last year by Cabrera and Albert Pujols. One of the dealers of the National had the ball. He's now since sold it to the gentleman I was just talking to, and he's going to come and add a couple of more this year. And I hope they do. I can assure you, like when Reggie Jackson, they see this ball, they're going to really appreciate it. But everyone's unique. And but I think that's what makes this pavilion so great, are these interactions when fans get to see their heroes and can show them and share a story. It's pretty cool.
Jeff, TriStar has developed an impeccable name in the industry, and with authentication being more important than ever, can you talk us through what steps TriStar takes to ensure collectors have confidence in every item that leaves your signings?
Yeah, well, the nice thing is you have the chance to get it authenticated right there. We put our hologram on it, and then you go right into our database, and it will say it was signed at this location on this date. And we were the first ones to do that. I started that, I believe it was January 1 of 2000. So, people in 2000, 2001 had items signed. They can enter the number and on their hologram and see is a reminder in a sense. And I tell them, print it out off your computer. And that's your certificate right there, that it was signed at this hotel or this convention center by this player on that date. And again, we were sort of ahead of the time, right? But as you suggest today, it's even more important than ever.
You mentioned you're a collector first, and you're going to bring some items to get signed yourself. What is one of the favorite pieces that you have in your collection?
So I collect so much, but it's all very personal to me. Sandy Koufax is one of my guys. I have some really cool stuff that he signed. Muhammad Ali, he's in my home, the home I grew up in, where my parents still live. He was over at the house, and I had him sign. He actually signed a piece of art for me. Signed one of the Olympic torches. That was pretty cool. So there's so much stuff. So what I'm getting signed this weekend, I'm really big into cards. I've always been. I'm one of the weirdos who got cards signed back in the 80s and 90s, and was told how stupid I was, ruining my cards. But I have all the Star Company sets, from 1983 to 86 basketball. So I was going through and pulling a bunch of those, including some Elijah ones that I have. It's pretty cool. When you look at my set, I have some that he signed Akeem, Akeem, and then he later changed it. So the new ones, of course, that I get will say Hakeem. But I have the entire 1983 Donruss set. I'd say about 75 to 80% I got in person. 1983 was the year I graduated high school and was starting college. So I was going, we had National League in Houston. I was going to Dallas, Arlington for the American League. I went to spring training in 83, 84, 85, and 6. And I got a lot of autographs there. So probably 80% or so, 500 cards in the set I got signed by myself. And then over the last 20 years or so, I had people helping me complete it, which about 5 or 6 years ago, right at the beginning of the pandemic, I believe in 2020, I completed the set, both the full 83 Donruss and the Action All-Star set of 60. So I have some sets like that I'm trying to complete. So that's really the fun for me, is really getting down and getting things signed that I enjoy.
Well, Jeff, we can't thank you enough for joining us this evening here on Greeny Sports Cards Live ahead of the 46th Annual National Sports Collectors Convention. We would encourage everybody to go to either nsccshow.com for the autograph section or tristarproductions.com/national. You can see every one of these 175 plus athletes. It's just an astonishing list of Hall of Famers and All-Stars and personalities. And Jeff, what you guys do is not that it's underappreciated, but there's so much work that goes into it. And we really thank you and your team in particular for delivering the experience for the hobby. So our thanks to you and the TriStar team for joining us this evening. And we can't wait to see you next week in Rosemont.
I look forward to it. And I thank you guys for your voices promoting the hobby. I think it's something that I never saw, right? I couldn't have seen all the tech, this technology coming in.
Sure. But
it's so great to see how the hobby has grown. So I'm a 61-year-old father of a 27 and 21-year-old. And so to see, the young people my children's age who are really getting into the hobby is such a great thing, that it's something that you can share, with your children and your nephews and nieces. And that's really the beauty of the hobby. Of course, when I listen to you guys and programs like such, people want to talk about, the negative, of course. But look, most of the people, I still believe, like the stuff and collect. Yes, there are flippers and, all the other things that exist. And that's just always going to be a part of it, of course. I think of my friends who are no longer with us, who couldn't believe how people were flipping cards in the 1980s. If they could only see today, 16-year-olds walking around with briefcases with 6 figures worth of cards or more. I don't know how they'd be able to handle it. But what it says is that we're all here because we love the hobby and we love collecting. And I'm just so thrilled to still be a part of it. And if you are somebody that's coming to the show and you want to meet these athletes, do buy your tickets in advance, because we have a numbering system, and the earlier you buy the ticket, the earlier you get in line. So I highly encourage that. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. We can't wait.
Look forward to it. Have a great night.
You too.
You too. All right, thanks to Jeff Rosenburg, CEO of TriStar Productions, along with I want to thank Nick Jarman of CTCA, Joe Wysmierski of Phoenix Sports Cards, and Greeny, thank you. We will see you next week in Rosemont.
And Haley.
And Haley, of course.
See you next time.